In a world of podcasts, one rises in the night to destroy them all. The elder god in an ocean of noise, the Cthulhu of the airwaves. This is Spoiler Country.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spoiler Country. I'm Renee, and we are super excited to have David Lopez on the show. David is the creator of Black Hand IronHead, available at Panel Syndicate, and he was also the artist for Captain Marvel, for Marvel, and Catwoman and Fallen Angel for DC, as well as having drawn for so many titles like Xmen, Spiderman, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Wolverine. I could probably list a whole bunch more.
Yeah.
In case you can't tell, David's pretty prolific and as being a comic artist. So David, bienvenidos a Spoiler Country. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if your audience know that you speak a very good Spanish.
Oh, muchas gracias. They know now, I guess.
Yeah. They should ask you. But
yeah, maybe the podcast will become bilingual in the future.
Oh, maybe that's a good idea. I have to say something. Maybe I'm not that prolific. Maybe I'm just old. Because I started in the year 2000 to draw books for America. So that's 20 years.
Yeah, but I would also say that not everyone can turn out a lot. Drawing a comic book is a lot of work, right?
Yeah, it is.
And not everyone can turn out that many titles or that many covers, or so I do think you have a talent there and being able to do that much art.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not doing that anymore. I think I'm not that prolific.
Maybe in the past a little bit.
Yeah, I was younger. I made 30 issues of Catwoman in a row.
Yeah,
that's super
that
crazy.
Seems prolific.
That's absurd. It wasn't a good idea.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you got. Because are you from the Canary Islands? Is that where you're originally?
Yeah, I was born there. Yeah.
Yeah, which for those who don't know is like paradise over in Europe. It's kind of like the Hawaii of Spain. I think of it like that.
Yeah, but
it's
drier.
Beautiful.
I was there last week.
So lucky.
Yeah. I was on holidays, and it's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, but how did you get from these islands to becoming the artist for Catwoman, Captain Marvel? How did that?
Hard work. People from Paradise Islands, we are hard workers, like The Rock and myself. I don't like The Rock.
No. Like The Rock, yeah. I love it.
Well, I don't know. Just drawing every day and step by step and always wanting to do best. And I don't know. Sometimes I think about that, like, how is that possible? Because I don't know. I started drawing when I was a kid. Well, in fact, all the kids draw, but I never quit. So that's what I did. Just drawing. I studied art, and then I made fanzines, and then I started publishing my own books here in Spain, and they were quite good. And then the opportunity came to work for the US, which meant lots of money, and I took it one step after the next.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, I bet. The opportunities kept coming, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, but I don't know why. For real, I don't see myself that good right now. Maybe it's because I am prolific, or maybe that people has got used to me. I'm in one of those days,
Okay.
Like, why?
It's interesting that you're like, why me, when you've created some really iconic character, like the visuals for some iconic characters. I think about Captain Marvel, right? Like to me, you've really, you almost define some of those characters.
In the case of Captain Marvel, it was right time, right place.
Yeah.
My profile as an artist, I've always worked with female characters. I don't know exactly why, but I feel comfortable working with female characters. My take on characters was back then, which is not that long ago, very much as what it is now, more respectful and treating female characters as human beings, because not that long ago, things were a bit different. And if you look back, it's crazy how we have changed. There's lots of room for improvement, but we are better than we were. I am quite old, I told you. I've always been doing my female characters like that, and maybe I was the right guy for Captain Marvel, and I was at the right time, right place. In fact, I wanted to draw Xmen back then. I did a few books with Brian Wood, and I wanted to do to keep in the book, but they told me at Marvel, maybe you should be better at Captain Marvel, and I listened to them, and it was a good idea. It was Johnny Schaefer's idea, Stephen Walker's idea, Sana Amanat's idea. They told me, the three of them, they told me, you should be doing Captain Marvel, so you better do it. I was like, okay, let's go. And it was one of those great choices that you make.
Yeah, I think sometimes, not everyone says yes to things, right?
Yeah.
And so you said yes, right? And I think we downplay that's that sometimes is part of our journey, and being like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. This is what that is a process in and of itself. So I think the fact that you said yes is awesome.
But I was very, very lucky there, because the book was already about to blow huge, as it did, and I just happened to be there. I was super lucky. But yes, I said yes to a few things. Like, I was hired to do that Ghost in the Shell book that who's publishing Codance? I don't remember. The Random House.
Yes.
The Random House made an anthology of Western artists doing Ghost in the Shell. And it was because I couldn't sleep that night. And I was reading Twitter on a Saturday night, American time. And it was Alejandro Arbona, who was the editor of that anthology. He was saying, I'm going to publish this, and nobody's going to know it because I'm tweeting very late. And I answered him like, please count on me for this. And I made Ghost in the Shell because of that. Those crazy things that happen. Right time, right place, right day for being, I don't know, how do you say when you cannot sleep?
Yeah, insomnia, like having insomnia.
Being an insomniac in the right moment.
In the very precise time frame.
Yeah, when Alejandro was walking his dog.
Yeah, but also all the moves that you made before that, right, led you up to that point, right? Like you wouldn't have been an insomniac on Twitter, responding to him had you not had all these other moves, but it's amazing how life works like that, though, I think.
In fact, the very first time that happened, that was when before I started working on Fallen Angel, I was going to do another book with, I don't know who was exactly, if a writer or a producer or something like that from Sex in the City back in 2002. He was going to do comics, and I started making characters and designs and blah, blah, blah. And then the thing didn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, a bummer, it would be a great chance to do things.
Yeah.
And then maybe because it was my very first gig at DC, I don't know, I made a few, what was the Batman Legends of the Dark Knight? I made a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was nobody to give an ongoing. And then at DC, they thought that Sex in the City gig didn't work. Maybe we should give him something. Let's try this Fallen Angel thing. I was there,
and then it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out, and it was great. It was a character creation. No, how do you call it? I have the rights for.
Yeah.
It was character equity, I think. So I had my own creation, and it lasted 20 issues. It was huge. It was great. I learned a lot doing that.
Well, and so speaking of creating things, right? Mm-hmm. You have created quite the story in the world with your new comic.
Oh, yes.
And with Black Hand and IronHead, first of all, I just love it. I've read it.
Thank
you. It's so good. I recommend it to everyone listening. But this puts you back being a writer, but you started as a writer. In Spain. And so what's it like being back in the writing sphere?
I started what I wanted to do when I was 14 or 15 was being a cover artist.
Oh.
But then I fell in love with doing comics. And I was like, I want to draw comics. And since nobody was writing, I wanted to do comics, and I didn't have a writer. And the writers I knew were as bad writers as I was. So I said, well, I can do a bad script the same.
Like, and I could do that.
Yeah, I started writing my own stuff when I realized I had my own fanzine. I had like 12 issues of my own fanzine in photocopies that I sent to publishers. Because in my mind, publishers work it in the whole world as they work in superhero industries. Like you have a writer, you have an artist, you have a colorist, and blah, blah, blah. In Spain, they didn't work like that. So I sent to publishers here in Spain, and they told me, we like the stories you are telling, so please do tell those stories for us. And I was shocked because my idea was finding somebody to write for me. But the point was that after 12 issues of that fanzine, I knew how to write. I learned by making, and it was great. And I started doing my own stuff. But then, the rates for self-published books in Spain are far lower than DC and Marvel rates in the 20s.
What? No, I'm shocked.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Marvel and DC pay more? No way.
Yeah. And I could not say no because it was my first idea. But once I was only drawing the books, I felt like I was missing something that I had learned. And by reading those scripts that I had in my hands, Peter David, I remember Paul Dini's scripts were amazing. Paul Dini is like maybe in the craft of writing scripts, not the stories he's telling. He's very good at that, but it's a matter of taste. But how he writes, he explains the story to the artist and gives you just what you need exactly. He's perfect. But, I have worked with Ruka, with Kelly Sue DeConnick, of course, with Kelly Thompson, of course, Brian Booth. No, but I mean, he's not like very popular right now because of reasons. Lots of people I have worked and, I have read lots of scripts and I liked the idea of doing my own, knowing more about comics. And then I started writing Black Hand IronHead. And then I realized I was not as good as I thought. So I contacted David Munoz. He's the writer of Devil's Backbone, Guillermo del Toro's movie. He teaches script writing here in Spain. Right now, he's very much, he prefers teaching that writing because writing is painful. And he helped me. It was not that painful since I had some help. Yeah. And then I just, once I had the script, then I just went to do the thing I was more used, that was drawing. But it was a mistake because what I was used to do was doing superhero comics in the Marvel and DC ways. And if I am going to self-publish something, I better do something different. So I had to learn from anew to do comics my own way. And then to be an editor and to be everything.
Yeah. Was that a really hard process? Because I mean, comics is a lot of work, it's so much work. And if you're doing all of it, I imagine there was times where you just might have wanted to just say, no, I'm out. Like, I'm done. How did that process go?
It's the only thing I know how to do. I don't know what I would do if I wouldn't be making comics. Don't tell my wife. So I have to do this, and it makes me really happy. It comes a moment when it's not only drawing or doing the craft, but the people you meet in the business. There's like really, really nice people. Most of the people are super nice. The contact with public creation, the magic of creation is great. And since now I am writing that creation stuff is bigger, maybe too big sometimes, but the bigger, the better.
Yeah. In thinking about all the writers you've worked for, did any of them give you any advice or like any tips that you picked up from one of them? Like maybe Kelly was like, do this, did you ever get any like insights into the writing process from any of your collaborators?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's something, it's more what you learn by being in the process. I remember I always want to read the drafts. Sorry, I always want to read the drafts, so I see how is the script evolving, to understand what does the writer want to tell and what does the editor do. Like most of the time is simplifying, like cut, make it simple. And working with writers is a thing. It's great because you learn to respect the other parts of the team work. Like you do not tell your colorist how to do the colorist work. The colorist knows best. Yeah. It's their everyday work. And when you understand that, the books are always better. I remember working with Willow Wilson in Mystic. Yeah, super. Do you know that book? Did you read it?
No. It just sounded, yeah.
We got an Eisner nomination. It's a super beautiful book, but since it was something like Marvel was doing something from, you remember that publisher from Florida? CrossGen. Oh, okay. CrossGen. Marvel got the rights for all the books from CrossGen, and they wanted to make a reboot, but they only did 4 books, 4 issues or 5 issues each. Yeah. And ours was the best because I was
it was nominated for an Eisner, right?
Yeah, we got nominated.
Must have been pretty good.
No, but the point was that we worked as a perfect team. Everybody was very much into the same thing. We wanted all to make the same book. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I learned, and there is not learned, that I realized that it was like that, like doing comic books is working on a team. and nobody is bigger than the book. So we all do the best for the book. So after that, I've always tried to see my books as that, like the book is the important thing. It's not the art, it's not the writing, it's not anything. It's the book itself. And I think that was very much a learning. Giving advice or asking for advice for people is quite tricky, because it takes lots of time and lots of confidence into the people you are asking for. And you cannot tell a professional writer, like, please do write my script, do read my script and tell me what is working and what is not, because that's going to take like 3 or 4 days work to do something like that, and it's not something you ask unless you are paying for that.
Yeah, like if I asked you, like, could you just draw this up for me real quick?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Can you just draw this real quick? No big deal. Well, okay. So for those who are not familiar with the story, what is Black Hand and IronHead about? Tell us a little bit about it.
Black Hand and IronHead is the story of a girl. She's got superpowers, and she wants to be a superhero, but her father doesn't want her to be a superhero, because he wants her to be the director of like a corporation in the superhero world. But one day her father dies. In the funeral, she meets her father is the greatest superhero, and in the funeral she meets a sister that she has, and she didn't know she had a sister. And the sister is a supervillain. The supervillain and the superhero have to understand each other. It's a buddy movie, of course. Yeah. They have to understand each other to solve some mysteries of that corporation. Yeah. And it's about family. It's about responsibility. It's about what we expect from the people we admire and what the reality is. And it's like, I don't know, coming of age is the like when you grow up and you realize that world is different than what you expected. Yeah. It's something like that.
Well, again, I really like it. And I think one of the things I really appreciated about it, and you talked about this a little bit earlier, was this idea of what female characters look like, right? And the two main characters, right, are not typically what we would see in comics, for female characters, right? There's more body inclusivity, and there's sort of like Amy has this like androgynous sort of look with like the Prince earring, which I just love. That like, yeah, it's so cool. I mean, just very cool, right? And so I'm curious, how much of that was inspired by people or was a really conscious effort on your part to have that?
To tell the truth, it was not a conscious effort. It was more what the story asked it. Yeah, I wanted a superhero that was very strong. That's Alexia. She's a woman that can lift a car and throw it to your head. So she must be very physical. She must be strong. And when I see weightlifters, yeah, they are big. And Alexia, she's big. She's got big hands, and if you are going to have a super strong character, you should make her big, because she needs to be big to have her powers.
It reminds me of like the CrossFit people, right?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like this.
I should do CrossFit.
I tried it once. It was not for me.
Amy should be absolutely the absolute opposite from Alexia. So when Amy is white, Alexia is black. When Alexia is big, Amy is skinny. Yeah. When Alexia is sloppy and like out of fashion, Amy is like a perfect look. Yeah, it came like that. And also I wanted the revelation of them being sisters to be something shocking. Right. So when you first see Amy coming in the funeral, you do not expect her to be the sister.
Right.
So it's because the story asked for it. And when I mean that I draw female characters as human, real people, I do not only think about the body, I think about the character. When we were used before, these last 10 years, maybe, we were used to like empty female characters. There's the scientist, the strong guy, the crazy guy, and the girl. That's the Fantastic Four. We got blah 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 blah, and the girl.
Yeah.
Unless you're an Xmen fan, where in Xmen you have like the best female characters.
That's why I loved Xmen so much growing up, because it was the only like it was more relatable, because there was people that I could relate to as superheroes. So often I don't love Batman, but like not relatable. Compared to Rogue or Jean Grey, it was like
I'm not a Jean Grey fan at all. I'm like she's very much still the girl. I like maybe all
later
of the other
Jean
ones.
Grey, maybe like the darkness inside.
Maybe
Okay,
I don't
fair
know.
enough.
I'm liking very much Polaris lately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm friends with Pepe Larraz. He's doing X-Men right now, and he's drawing a great Polaris.
Okay.
Like he draws her like she's royalty. She's the daughter of Magneto. Like she's royalty into superhero stuff. Maybe and that's it. I mean, like not only the exterior of the character is important, but the interior too.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot make Storm different than what she is. She's big. She's imposing. She's like a goddess.
Yeah.
And she's like that. And if you do not draw her like that, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Is there a character that you really like in this story, you like really gravitate towards more in terms of like, you're like, oh, I just love writing this character. Because in thinking about, right, that's what you drew what the character was. That was just who they were. Mm-hmm. So is there one that you're like, oh, I really just love this one?
I was much more into Amy when I wrote it and when I designed the characters. But at the end of the book, when I read it finished, because I published it at Panel Syndicate, and I published the 5 issues separate, blah blah blah, and then I published the graphic novel. And when I read the graphic novel, I saw that Alexia was far more interesting than Amy. And in the second volume, I am trying to make more interesting Amy, but Alexia, she's great. I cannot ungrade her because her personality always works better, and it's very much she's more into the spirit of the book. The book is positive and is very much into, we're living in a world where in a time that we have it difficult to make a difference between what's right and what's wrong, and Alexia has it always clear. Like putting kids in cages is bad. You do not do that. Killing people just because is bad. You do not do that. You have to protect the weak. And she has it super clear, and that's what makes her like invincible in a comic book, because everybody's into gray areas, but she has a vision. She knows it. Like it's super easy. Don't you see it?
Duh.
Yeah.
Hello, get it together.
Yes, exactly. And she's quite naive at the same time.
One of my favorite lines from the first volume was when Alexia says, "Let's hit the road for justice." And she's like, she's like, got her little sign. It's like, yeah. And Amy's like, oh my God, no. I feel like it's so, it's such like captured this youthful energy, and I think, talking about Alexia being sort of like seeing things in more black and white and, sort of being naive, but also seeing the world for how it is. I really see that as being something viewpoint that when you're younger, right? And this whole, I feel like our whole first half, you're like, I'm so old. Oh, I've just been around for so long. How do you feel like you were able to capture that youthful voice?
I don't know, for real. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe because
just magic.
Yeah, just raw talent.
Yeah. No. You're like, I don't know. I'm just so fabulous. I can't help it.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I don't know. Maybe I have a daughter. She will be 7 next month. Yeah, and for me it was very important that probably because it's very much a relation between a father and a daughter. Well, two daughters. A really, really bad example of a father.
Yeah, definitely. Don't take any tips from that guy.
Yeah. Maybe that was the starting point. And I don't know. I told you that comics people is great, and I like going to conventions and meeting people and watching how we all feel the same about superheroes and the empowerment that they give you. Like, I don't know, whatever's your everyday life, you go back home and you read your comics, everything is possible. And Alexia is very much like that. She has her dreams and everything. You have Amy. Amy has a push. How do you call it? The bag that Amy has.
Like
push.
the
bag.
The bag?
Yeah, a lady's bag. What's the name?
Oh,
well, she's.
I don't know.
You don't have one of those to carry your stuff.
It's okay,
Yeah, okay. Well, she's got one of those that has the cover of a book by. It's called The Society of Spectacle, by a French philosopher back in the late 60s, Guy Debord. In that book, it's about he realized back then that he was saying that there will come a day the world that is presented to you by the media will be more real for you than the reality itself. And it was super chilling. Oh my God.
That's like social media, right? I mean,
back in 68.
Wow.
He wrote that in 68. It's a whole bill. It's small book, but it's super interesting because he tells you about the whole society going into that, like class struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Like lower classes fighting higher classes, and he was very much into defending lower classes, saying there will come a day when lower classes will fight for higher classes.
Mm-hmm.
And we are into that.
We're in that right now. I'm like, no, we should have
lower. Yeah, we should have lower taxes for the billionaires.
Yeah.
Why? Because the media and stuff like that. So Amy is very much like that. Like she don't believe in anything, and Alexia believes in everything. In her dreams.
Yeah,
that's why they fit well together, because Amy learns to believe in herself.
You brought up your daughter, and and this is like there's a father-daughter narrative, in the book. And I'm curious, like, has your daughter read the comic, and do you see, like, I wonder, like, do you ever think about your daughter going into the family business, right? Like, becoming an artist or a writer?
I want her to be part of the family business, of course. Yeah, because she's super talented. In fact, I used some of her designs a couple of years ago. Probably she was 5, and while drawing Buffy, Vampire Slayer, yeah, she made some fashion designs. And I used those designs for the name of the guy. I don't remember anymore. Sorry. And the guy, and they are dressed with designs by my daughter.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and the editor told me, like, I told her, like, the designs are by my daughter. And she told me, I knew they were too good to be yours.
Like, I
knew they were special. Yeah, I want her to be part of the family business, but only if she like really wants to, because this business is something that takes lots of time, and not only time, but your life. Like it's a life option.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your life? Doing comics.
Yeah. It's everything, right? Does she read comics?
She reads, yeah. She likes manga right now. She likes Katie O'Neill, the Aquicornuae.
Okay.
Aquicorn. I don't know, like T-Dragons. T-Dragons, you know that?
I think
she likes T-Dragons and stuff like that. And she likes like Atelier of, I don't know, what's the title in English? By Kamome Shirahama.
I can't say it. I'm like,
Atelier.
My French is not as good.
You should listen my French. It's even worse than my English. She likes that. And Housewife Yakuza. What's the title in English? It's from a story of a Yakuza that leaves Mafia and goes.
And then it was like my housewife. My husband is a Yakuza or something. I feel like I've heard that one. Yeah.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
And the superhero girl she likes a lot. She's starting to like Spiderman. She's more into Spider-Man. Yeah. And she makes her own books. I don't know. I have some here. I should. Yes. This is one of hers.
Oh, how cute!
I love that. The missing kawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, she makes that.
Like father, like daughter, as it were.
No, she's better. Far better.
I
know that.
Talent. The whole family talented, right?
Oh yeah, my wife too.
Yeah. Are you reading anything right now in terms of comics or things that are inspiring you?
Yes. I read manga a lot because reading superheroes takes lots of money and time out of you. Once you have read superheroes since somewhere in the 80s, I started with this. It's like a loop. The superheroes go. I remember New Xmen by Morrison and Quietly. I thought, like, we finally have it. Superheroes have changed. It's not about capes and superpowers, but it's about something different.
Yeah.
And after a couple of years or 3, then they go back to the capes and to being superheroes, fighting superheroes about who knows what.
Yeah.
And then
like we're on a manga cycle though, right? Like I feel like they're what I heard was that manga is the only thing that's making the most money in comics right now.
Yeah.
Is manga. Yeah.
Yeah, because our Japanese books are better. They make it better, and there are lots of reasons why they can do that. First of all, is that if you are a teenager and you say, let's try the Xmen, well, how did you start to read the Xmen?
I don't know.
Do you start
That's a great question.
Giant size Xmen?
Yeah.
a book from 1975, and then you go on after that, you cannot do it. You are not going to like it. You know, and if you start like, oh, let's get the Hickman stuff, it looks good. Well, you should know who are all those people, and they are not explaining that to you
at all.
If you say, okay, let's try this Naruto thing. Okay, you have like, I don't know, 40, 50 books, but there's a number one, and you can jump there. Blah,
you
blah,
start
blah,
with
you
number
read
one. Yeah.
Yeah, you read it, and then at some point it finishes.
Yeah.
And then you say, I like manga. Let's try another thing, like One Punch Man. No, maybe I like something more of, you know, with magic, with people fighting, but with magic, like Full Metal Alchemist. Give it a try. And you, I like this. And there's a number one, and I don't know.
And it explains everything.
Yeah, you have a number one, and you say, no, but you know, I want it more with girls, and there's something more with there's manga for whatever you want, and you have a first book you can go to.
Yeah.
But if you want to read, I want to read Batman. What do I read?
Where do I start? And I'm so glad you brought this up, because it was something that was so hard for me, because I didn't know anyone in comics. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know where to go. And so I wanted to start reading comics, and I wanted actually to start reading Xmen, and I had no idea where to start. I didn't know which one to buy, and I'm sure I bought just some random issue, in the middle of a run.
Yeah, and you start
and it made no sense.
There.
I didn't know what was happening. And it wasn't until I had a friend who worked at a comic book store who was like, oh, Renee, this is what you want, and this is where you should start. And he, like, this world, resets here. So you should start from here.
But there's also, that's the problem too.
That,
but that's a problem too. That you invest in those characters emotionally.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this. I like this. Oh, Jean Grey, she's dying. Oh, she's dead. Oh, so bad. This other guy, he's also dead. Oh, this is thrilling. And then it resets. You have Jean Grey again. You have Nightcrawler again.
Back.
You have
everyone's alive.
Come on, are you kidding?
Yeah.
And once it's happened 2 times or 3 times, you say, I'm not going to go for a 4th time.
You're like, how many times can you string me along here?
yeah. Right now, when was it? I remember reading Whedon and Cassaday's Xmen. Mm-hmm. When Kitty Pryde sacrifices herself to save the planet, that's super cool. And then 1 year later, she's back. Come on, you haven't sacrificed. Holidays.
No one ever dies, right? Like, you can always just
no one ever dies for real.
Timeline.
Aunt May was dead for some time, and I don't know. She's probably back.
Yeah, who knows, right? Like,
and it's not only who knows. The problem is when you say who cares, because it depends. She will probably die again, and she will probably go back again.
Yeah,
and I know that's something that I do not like about how we are making the comics we are making, and I think that's a mistake.
Do you think about that with your own book? With, like, do you want it to be a very fixed world, right? Like, or
I think that all my stories, I have written them in the same world.
Okay.
Like the books I made here were about two girls. It was the 90s, and it was about 2 girls that shared an apartment in Barcelona. And it was slice of life, but with the core of the thing was that it was the story of the girlfriend of the superhero. It was like Mary Jane's story. When Stacy, for me, is dead, I mean, like, no, she's not coming back. And whenever I see Gwen Stacy alive, I think, like, no.
You're like, nope.
She's a zombie. No. Yeah, okay. I prefer Mary
There's
Jane.
a lot of zombies in comics, I think.
Yeah, and the thing was that, like, let's tell the story of her.
Yeah,
and that was how it started, because I wanted to do superheroes, but then I realized that I like it more than novellas. Like doing, like, she's in love with this, but he's treating her wrong, and blah 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 blah. And I think that that's why we all love the Xmen, because it's a novella.
Yeah.
And, how do you
and
call
maybe
it?
that's why I like Jean Grey, is because there was a love triangle, and I like the drama a little bit, right? Like,
but it's been fixed already, because who's going to fall in love for Scott Summers?
Well, yeah,
I don't believe that.
Never will find love.
I understood when he was with Madeline Pryor, because I understood why he loved her, because he didn't love her. He loved the image of his girlfriend. And that was interesting. And I like it when he fell in love with the White Queen. For me, the White Queen has always been a villain. And I'm still waiting for her to go back into villainry.
Yeah.
But they tell me at Marvel that it's not going to happen. Who knows? And
well, you never know. Things change all the time.
Right? Yeah. But if she goes back to being a villain for a while, she will go back to be a hero again and again and again and again. And well, I understood more her relation with the White Queen, but the problem with Scott Summers is that he's a kid and he's surrounded by the most adult women in superhero comics. The ex-women. You are not going to play games with the White Queen or Kitty Pryde or Rachel Summers or Rogue or those ladies.
They don't mess around.
They don't mess around.
And that's a good analogy anymore. That he's a kid around a bunch of adults. Yeah. I like that.
For me, the X-Men is the story of Kitty Pryde. Since the X-Men start to be what they are when Kitty Pryde enters the game, you can read the X-Men as the story of Kitty Pryde.
Oh, interesting. I like it. I like that. I like it centering on Kitty Pryde too, right? Like,
absolutely, she's the best.
Yeah, she's amazing. So I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about Panel Syndicate.
Oh, yes.
And you self-publishing, and sort of this idea of the pay what you can format, because I love that. And another thing that comes up a lot is this idea of Kickstarter, and there's a lot of comics on Kickstarter now. And, although that's not pay what you can, there's still a sense of like, what can you contribute to this project? And I'm curious, like, I see that being more of the future of comics, sort of this, and I think Patreon kind of does this as well, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's more of a direct to, artist to consumer, as opposed to the publishing houses. And so how do you feel about that, since you've worked on both sides? You worked for the big guys and now you're self-publishing, and what do you like about that?
First of all, I love the big house comics. We've been talking about the X-Men for a while, so you know that I do love them.
Yeah.
But Panel Syndicate, I think, is the best for readers and artists. Not for all the readers, since some readers just want their Batman or their Spiderman or their whatever. For you, I mean, the free market for this. Okay, it's perfect. Syndicate, everything is different. The very first part that is shocking is that pay what you want. You want to pay zero, it's okay, pay zero. That's how we fight piracy. Yeah, we don't get. I mean, you can download it from readcomicsonline.com. But what's the point? If you can go to panelsyndicate.com and download directly, and you do not have like middlemen.
Yeah.
And
why
that's
would you get
great.
a pirated copy when you can for free when you can get it officially for free, right?
Yeah, but that's another thing. A friend of mine, I'm digressing here, but it's important.
Okay.
A friend of mine went to Vietnam like 20 years ago. There was they made the Nike sneakers there, and you could buy Nike sneakers that were made in the same facilities with the same materials by the same people with the same logos with the same everything, but they were fake. Which is nonsense. It's the exact
they weren't
very
like
same
official or whatever.
Yeah, they weren't official. Like, okay, and you could pay like, I don't know, $20 for them or $100 for the real deal. Yeah, it's like, oh, really? This is weird. But and when you start to realize that kind of things, you start to realize that this is very important. When, I don't know, whoever, Brian Booth and we made the Xmen, we were making fan arts of the Xmen. It was fanfic. Because we weren't Chris Claremont, I don't know, and John Byrne doing the X-Men, which is like the real deal. We were doing official fan art fanfic from the X-Men. It was crazy.
Official, but
but it's
unofficial.
Yeah, but it still is the same thing. Then with that, we go back to manga. When you read the Monster or Pluto or something by Naoki Urasawa, you are reading the real deal. You know, that's really a story. And then you can read Todd McFarlane's Spiderman. Yeah, that's Spiderman. You have, I don't know, Marcus Martin's Spiderman. Yeah, it's absolutely different, but they are the same thing.
Yeah.
A different market, a different conception. Okay, the deal, and what I think it's great with Panel Syndicate is that you build a relation with the artist or with the public based on confidence. Like, you have the PDF there, download it for free if you want. You want to pay? I want to pay. How much? How much do you think you have to pay for this? I don't know. $5 is okay. Okay, $5 is super okay. $1 is okay. Great, $1. But is there a middleman there? No. You pay $1 in Panel Syndicate. I received $1. Well, the middleman is PayPal, but you cannot live without them.
There's always someone behind the scenes, right?
PayPal is making money of my work, but the rest of the money is me who's making it. And I am there in social networks. If you want to ask me about something of Black Hand and IronHead, I am there. And you know, it's like if you go to the comic, to the bookshop, and the writer is there, and you say, "Hey, Mr. Stephen King, I have a question. I want to read one of your books." "Oh, yes. Which one?" "We have all of them. I will try Misery." "Okay. How much do you want?" "Well, whatever you want." "Okay, maybe I will read it, and if I like it, I will pay you later." "Oh, that's okay." And if you want to you say, "Mr. King, I like it very much, your book." "Oh, thank you." You know, you have that relation, and it's super interesting. And you know, there's no in Comixology you have like this bundle of books for $1, and you say like, "Yeah, but do I get the PDF?" Or no, you can read us through our app. And if you close, no, you lose your files. Okay, that's not good. at Panel Syndicate, you get the PDF.
Yeah.
And that's yours forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can copy it. Yes, you can make 20 copies if you want.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I just have this image of like a PDF of Stephen King, like Misery. Like, oh, click, just got it. Thanks, Stephen. That's good. I just love it. I'm like, yes. Well, and on Panel Syndicate right now is volume 2. I think there's 2 issues out. 2 issues?
I'm working in issue 3, so if it's already up there, please tell me.
Like, no,
I will jump to number 4.
Yeah, it's not up. It's not up. What can we expect in the upcoming? I haven't read the first 2 issues yet, but what can we expect in sort of volume 2 in general?
The book is different. It's the same thing, but the tone is a little bit different. There's another colorist. This is Kike Diaz, and he's superb. And there's another dynamic between the sisters. I like a lot romance comedies. I love them.
Everyone loves a good rom-com, right?
No, not everybody.
Oh.
I mean, they love it, but they don't say it.
No one admits to it, but I'll admit to it. I love
So
a good
rom-com. So, in the rom-coms, there's and they live happily ever after.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, no, that's just when romance starts.
Yeah.
Like in the first volume of Black Hand IronHead, it ends, yes, we are sisters. Now we are together in this. But the real thing is that if you are sisters with somebody you don't know, you have to make a relationship. It's a little bit about that. And it's about guilt, responsibility, forgiveness, and it's a bit more adult, but still the characters are the ones we left in volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's got more action because the first volume is not exactly a superhero book, and I think that this one is 100% superhero book. You have action all around. Yeah, you go download it.
I will.
I pay.
Yeah. I was like, hey, don't worry, I will, and I will pay money. I will pay.
Up to you. Up to
I
you.
could. I could not. That's the beauty of Panel Syndicate,
and
right?
that's the thing. That's the thing. You say, no, this is abusive. Like, how do you dare? $1 for one PDF? That's abusive. Okay, what do you think is fair?
Yeah,
for me, it's fair. 0. Okay, we'll pay.
I think it makes it more accessible for people, right? Because maybe this month I'm broke, right? But I still want to be able to read your comic, and it's nice.
It's happened.
Yeah.
People that writes me that I read it for free because I didn't have money, but now that I have money, I'm paying you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's great because again, it makes it more available to more people. And I think the more we can make comics more accessible and more available to people who won't normally read them or people who maybe can't read them, like I think it's great.
We must make comics. As a creator, I think that the key point is having people from 11, 13 years old. Those are the most important readers that we have. Because we are not having them in superheroes, which is the industry I know more. Because you are 13 years old and you have to pay $4 or $5 for a floppy. Are you serious? And you can pay. I don't know how much is a manga in America, but here in Spain you can buy a manga for $8, and you have like your book.
It's like the whole book, yeah.
No, it's not the big ones, but I don't know, the tankobons, which are 200 pages, give or take. You have 10 times more pages.
Yeah.
For twice the price. Come on.
Well, and you have a story that's beginning to, and you're right, like it's
you can jump on.
You can jump in and just go, right? And
Yeah.
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 And there's something really curious here. There has been like, I don't remember how many, a few high schools here that are reading Black Hand IronHead, because you can read it in your cell phone.
In Spain?
Yeah, in Spain.
Oh, that's
you can
so
read,
cool.
and Spanish version has a stronger language, I must admit, because we do not care that much about that already, and the kids are loving it because they read it in school, well, in high school, in the cell phone, and they can use their cell phones, and they are reading, which is very important, and they are reading comics, and they are reading comics about stuff that they care of. Like, your father maybe is not that cool as you think he was. You have a new sister.
I think that's really relatable for teenagers.
Yeah. Something like that.
Right.
And it's super cool because I have the chance to talk to them.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think like that's what I love, is that you're bringing it to them where they're at, right? Like, because they're on their phones, or I mean, I'm on my phone all the time, right? And so the ability to just be able to access it, or it's in the school and it's like, yeah, just read it, like, go, right? I think that's so cool. I don't know. I wish I had read comics in high school. Like, that was not a thing for me.
When did you start?
Well, I was reading Archie comics as like a very young kid, right? And but it wasn't until my 20s that I got into comics. And so, and again, it was because when I had tried before, I didn't know what to get into. You know, like I like would walk into a comic book store and I would just get so overwhelmed, and you know, no one would help me, and I didn't know. And so it wasn't until I had a friend who worked in a comic book store.
Yeah, but there are really good professionals or comic book stores, you know, and if you go there, you say, I want to start reading comics.
Yeah.
And they will guide you, probably.
And I was lucky that my friend was that person for me and was like, hey, I think you might like this comic. It's called Batwoman. And there's a character named Renee, and there's lesbians, and you might like really like it. I was like, oh, tell me more. Like, you know, and that,
hey,
and
you
that
have everything that you like.
Yeah. And that started my journey, you know, and again, it was, you know, it was someone made it accessible to me. Right. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, they might not have that person, or they might not have, you know, like a way to get in. And so I think that's just why I like Kickstarter and Panel Syndicate and things like that, where it just gives people more, because not everyone's willing to go into a comic book store and, you know, talk to a stranger about it. You know, that's
comic book stores have changed in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you came into a comic book store in the 90s. Being a lady in a
I guess it would have been
store, that was scary. Come on.
Yeah, it was probably in the 90s. Yeah, I was like, I don't time now has like really
in the 90s was different.
Yeah, but you know, I think for me, and I think about like, you know, the younger generation, right? That like with social media, with these sort of like the internet and all these platforms, there's just so much more ways to find out and learn and get to know. And that's exciting, I think.
And you have webtoons. I know lots of people reading webtoons, which is, I'm this close to starting working on webtoons. I like them a lot.
Are you doing any webtoons? That would be fun.
I would love to, but that's a different format. Absolutely. It's not a digital comic. It's something different.
Yeah.
Like you scroll up and you have to put less information. Key point is that you have to be like once a week or twice a week there, blah, 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 blah. It's more about characters. It's more, stories are different. The readers are much younger, because superhero books are for people in their late 30s or 40s already.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, it's a changing demographic too, I think. But
it's an aging demographic.
Well, I didn't want to say it. I was like, that was it. Well, so besides Black Hand and Ironhead, is there any other things that you're working on that people can look forward to from you? Or
I'm doing covers for High Republic, Star Wars High Republic. Yes. I just sent one. I'm doing covers for Marvel.
Yeah, and New Mutants. I saw one that looked really cool from you. I was like, oh, that's a cool cover.
Thank you. My staff, women doing superhero things.
Yeah,
I have something that I would love to tell everybody, but I cannot.
Okay.
For different reasons, because it's not been announced.
Okay.
It's not sure that it's going to happen.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, if it is, super cool. Super cool. In the meantime, I'm drawing Black Hand IronHead because I have it already scripted.
Mm-hmm.
I like to script the whole season and then draw it.
Okay.
I want to do a project with a friend of mine here in Spain. Yeah, it's too bad for you guys. You don't have it published in English. His name is Alvaro Ortiz. Sorry. He's great. And if we finally do that book, it's going to be huge.
Okay.
I mean, huge thing. It's super fun.
Well, where can people find you for these big announcements to come, maybe, or to see what you're working on? Where can people find you on the internet?
I quit Facebook. Yes.
Good job.
Yes, I'm so happy with that.
I can't.
You just have to say bye-bye, and that's it.
Yeah, too many relatives on there, I think. But so
that's a good reason.
Yeah, that's the reason to quit.
At David Lopez, DAVIZLOPEZ.
Yeah, not to be confused with the famous footballer David Lopez.
There are lots
who plays for España.
There are lots of people who are named David Lopez.
Yeah,
that's why I had to make a terrible mistake. You should have done something different, like David Lopez artist or Mr. David Lopez or something like that. But I made it that way, and now it's too late. Yeah. And I have a web page that is davidlopez.me, where I have stuff there, and I have a YouTube channel with my friend David Lafuente. You know his work. He made Ultimate Xmen, Ultimate Spiderman, just before Miles Morales.
Okay.
He's amazing, and we speak about comics.
Cool.
But from the creator point of view, we are not speaking about comics, but we speak about being an artist in comics.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Can they find that on your website?
Yeah, probably. Okay. It's called...
You're like, they will now.
Streaming de Dibujantes.
Okay.
And we talk about stuff like tips for Clip Studio, which is the software that we all use, about how to cope with working from home, how to draw hands, for instance. Yeah. How you should grab your pencil and stuff like that. We have a really popular one about depression, like you should cope with this, and imposter syndrome and stuff like that, which affects a lot to artists. And we talk about that. We speak with artists, and we make interviews, but from an artist's point of view, dedicated to artists. It's nice.
It sounds amazing. I'm going to go now check it out later
Go
tonight.
Give it a check, and you will refresh your Spanish.
Yeah.
All the cuss words.
Yeah. I'll be like, it'll be good, like, practice for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just can't thank you enough for being here. And, it's the Olympics right now.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
And so I have to say I'm secretly cheering for Spain. So que viva España. But it's fun to root for my other country. I have a little special place in my heart for Spain. So it's been
great.
So fun talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
And for everyone, David, again, is the creator of Black Hand and IronHead. Volume 1 and Volume 2, Issue 1 and 2. You can see it right there. Are available now at Panel Syndicate, and we'll put a link in the show notes to the issues as well as your websites and your social media so people can find you. Thanks again so much.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, and for all of you out there in Spoilerverse, I'm Renee, and this is Spoiler Country.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Adios.
Adios.
Spoiler Country. And we're back. That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out Spoilerverse.com, because at Spoilerverse.com, we have a plethora, amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers, and oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? Then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at Spoilerverse.com, and I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can...
What's going on, everyone? Are you still looking for that perfect one-stop shop for all things pop culture? That one place where you can hear hot takes about superheroes, Star Wars, video games, and more? Well, fear not. Bridging to Geekdoms is the place for you. A podcast that focuses on the current rumors, scoops, and controversies within the pop culture world. Hosted exclusively on the Spoilerverse Network, you can find us on any one of your favorite podcatching apps, YouTube, and at Spoilerverse.com. So don't miss out on the excitement. Find us and subscribe now.
Do you listen to podcasts that sound like this? Hey, welcome back to the Super OK Podcast, where our audio sounds mediocre.
Or do you prefer podcasts that sound more like this? Crisp, clear, fun, easy to listen to, and full of awesomeness? Well, then you should check out Spoiler Country, hosted exclusively over at Spoilerverse.com.